allegiance. Thank you all for being here tonight. We will adopt an agenda and then go into closed session. Do I have a motion to amend the agenda to remove the weapons policy action section from the business meeting?
Ms. Bond,
Yes.
Ms. Franklin,
Yes.
Ms. Pardon,
Yes.
Mr. Roberts,
Yes.
Dr. Roundtree,
Yes.
Ms. Purcell.
Yes.
6 in favor.
Motion carries. Do I have a motion to enter into closed session as authorized by Section 2.2-3711 of the Code of Virginia to discuss 2 student matters and a personnel matter?
So moved. Second.
Mr. Roberts and Dr. Roundtree, any discussion? Ms. Reed, will you please call the roll?
Ms. Bond,
Yes.
Ms. Franklin,
Yes.
Ms. Pardon,
Yes.
Mr. Roberts,
Yes.
Dr. Roundtree,
Yes.
Ms. Purcell.
Yes.
6 in favor.
Motion carries. We are now in closed session. Put it up here.
I need to go though, Jason, and I don't know. How it works.
She looked at me and it's like, like,
I didn't mean to be bossy. So you might want to go let Jason in.
oh,
I didn't mean that to sound bossy.
I didn't think you were bossy. Tosh, you're not bossy person.
So was it Matt and Derek, and then Matt and Penny?
Matt and Derek, Matt and Penny, then Matt and Derek.
Motion to amend the policy action. Motion to adopt.
Yes. So am I just supposed to say, like, I Hello, Andrew.
Do I have a motion to return to open session?
So moved.
Dr. Roundtree and Ms. Franklin? Any discussion? Ms. Reed, will you please call the roll?
Ms. Bond,
Yes.
Ms. Franklin,
Yes.
Dr. Gitry,
Yes.
Ms. Pardon,
Yes.
Mr. Roberts,
Yes.
Dr. Roundtree,
Yes.
Ms. Purcell.
Yes.
7 in favor.
Motion carries. Do I have a motion to certify closed session that, to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed in the closed meeting to which this certification applies, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered?
So moved.
Second.
Dr. Roundtree and Mr. Roberts, any discussion? Ms. Reed, will you please call the roll?
Ms. Bond,
Yes.
Ms. Franklin,
Yes.
Dr. Gitry,
Yes.
Ms. Pardon,
Yes.
Mr. Roberts,
Yes.
Dr. Roundtree,
Yes.
Ms. Purcell.
Yes.
7 in favor.
Motion carries. Do I have a motion to exempt application 1 from compulsory attendance due to religious exemption in Montgomery County Public Schools?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? That was Ms. Bond and Ms. Parton, I'm sorry. Any discussion? Ms. Reed, will you please call the roll?
Ms. Bond, Ms. Franklin. No. Dr. Gitry,
No.
Ms. Pardon,
Yes.
Mr. Roberts,
No.
Dr. Roundtree,
No.
Ms. Purcell.
No.
5 opposed, 3 in favor.
Motion fails. Do I have a motion to exempt application 2 from compulsory attendance due to religious exemption in Montgomery County Public Schools?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Bond and Ms. Parton, any discussion? Ms. Reed, will you please call the roll?
Ms. Bond? Yes. Ms. Franklin? No. Dr. Gitry?
No.
Ms. Pardon?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
No.
Dr. Roundtree?
No.
Ms. Purcell?
No.
2 in favor, 5 opposed.
Motion fails. Do I have a motion to approve the personnel report as presented?
So moved. Second.
Mr. Roberts and Dr. Gitry, any discussion? Ms. Reed, will you please call the roll?
Ms. Bond?
Yes.
Ms. Franklin? No. Dr. Gitry?
Yes.
Ms. Pardon?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
Dr. Roundtree?
Yes.
Ms. Purcell?
Yes.
6 in favor, 1 opposed.
Motion carries. Okay, now we'll move on to our mission and belief statement. Our student representative tonight is Laura Altizer from Auburn High School. Laura, will you please read our mission and belief statement?
Our mission statement. MCPS is an innovative educational community. We value diversity and we are committed to equity and inclusion. MCPS empowers learners to realize success in an ever-changing global society through collaboration with communities, families, staff, and students. MCPS provides a safe, engaging learning environment and intentional exposure to positive social, emotional, and academic experiences. As for our beliefs, 1, all students can learn in order to pursue their dreams. 2, schools are safe places of joy, wonder, and creativity. 3, every person deserves to be loved, valued, and respected. 4, kindness is an essential skill of a responsible, productive community member. 5, the diversity of our community is one of our greatest strengths. 6, all people deserve equitable access to opportunities and resources. 7, every child deserves an advocate. 8, honoring the voices of students and other stakeholders strengthens the school community. 9, open communication and feedback are vital to our growth. 10, learning and teaching are collective efforts that begin at birth and involve the entire community. And 11, relationship building and high expectations are foundational to student success.
Thank you so much. And our next item of business are the student representative reports. Laura, do you have a report from Auburn High School? Your mic's off. Sorry.
Okay. Oh, I have to hold it? No, it's on now. Okay. I get it. All right. Our Auburn MAC team is off to a good season so far. We are currently 1-2 in our division, and we will be competing against Blacksburg today, which I just came from, and competing against Pulaski on Thursday. Auburn has started a winter attendance challenge starting today. Auburn High School challenges its students to have perfect attendance through today to March 27th. Our goal is over 95% attendance each day. Students with 2 absences or fewer will be put into a raffle to win prizes as incentive. And number 3, our girls and boys basketball teams are in full swing, as well as our track team. Tennis will also be starting soon as well. We wish these athletes the best of luck.
Yeah, now it's on.
That's done.
This is so stressful.
Yeah.
There you go, now it's on. You're good.
Thank you so much.
When it's read around.
Our next agenda item is public address. We welcome the opportunity to hear from students, parents, employees, and community members about education matters in this community. We don't have anyone signed up for public address currently. Was there? I didn't hear. I'll keep reading. As a reminder, the board sets aside 30 minutes to start our public address. We have the option to extend in 30-minute increments, which Ms. Reed will remind us of. If there are additional speakers after 90 minutes, the board will continue with their business meeting and hold one additional 30-minute session at the end of the business meeting. The clock continues through applause and disruptions. The more disruptions there are, the fewer speakers who get to address the board. I'll call each speaker up by name in the order that they signed up. And our first speaker tonight is Chris Thomas from Christiansburg. Please state your name and the area of the county in which you live.
Chris Thomas, Christiansburg. Every year, this board ties itself in knots over the length of our school year and the timing of its various breaks. And every year, it's kind of absurd. We have amongst the shortest school years in the Commonwealth, and once again, we're knocking on the door of extending that school year or the school day, and neither of those are a great solution on short notice. The town gown issue dominates the board's discussion of the calendar every year that my kids have been in school anyway, and I get it. Virginia Tech is the economic center of gravity of our community, and so it defines, by support or stubborn opposition, the nature of our calendar. But we have bigger problems. It is midway through February, and our kids have already missed more school for snow than we scheduled for spring and Thanksgiving breaks put together. We still have a good month and a half of potential winter weather ahead of us, and not every winter will leave us digging out our driveways, but contrary to what my grandfather believed about salting grapefruits, we can't predict what the future weather is going to look like. We live in a mountainous region, and sometimes we get a bunch of snow dumped on us, and sometimes we don't. We need to be developing a calendar that allows us to respond effectively to maybe we get 4 weeks of snowstorms and maybe we get none. And I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what kind of flexibility or solution we need to build for that, be it an elaborate scheduling and cancellation of teacher work days or something else like that. But we face this problem in a real and financial and attendance-based sense. Now, you all spent a bunch of time last meeting worrying about a couple percentage points as to where and when students were in or out of school around various holidays and trying to schedule breaks around that. I respect that. But I'm here to tell you that if families are up against us extending the school year into the summer, a time when many of them have already scheduled things like vacations and travel and bought non-refundable plane tickets and things like that, they're scheduling that around the end of the summer way more than they are spring break or Thanksgiving break, because that's that narrow window where vacation is more affordable in our already cash-strapped economy. You want to see some gnarly attendance problems push our school year out. It's going to be bad. It could be bad this year, but it could be way worse next year or the year after that or the year after that. Plan around snow. Plan around the possibility of snow. Plan for the worst case scenario. And then, hey, maybe we get some extra training days for our teachers, and wouldn't that be great? Maybe we get some extra staff development time. Wouldn't that be great? Maybe we just give our teachers some time to breathe and develop some lesson plans. That'd be great too. But none of that's possible if we're under the gun. None of that's possible if we're buried under 4 feet of snow. But we won't know until the weather hits. So plan for it. Thank you.
Seeing no other signups for public address is now closed. We'll move on to consent items. If no one wishes to move an item out of consent, we'll consider those items approved. And next is the financial summary report. Do I have a motion to acknowledge receipt of the financial summary report for January 2026?
Second.
Ms. Franklin and Mr. Roberts? Any discussion?
Yes, I would just like to highlight the cost of us not having special education teachers in our school district that are full-time staff. They're in our in the report for the month, we have $48,000 of contracted speech therapy services. There's been some discussions about the vacancies in our division and potential cost savings due to vacancies, being able to save those monies. We're not able to save those monies. We have to supply those services to our students. And here's it is showing the cost of us not having those positions filled and us having to contract out those positions. So I think that's just an important thing to highlight in this report.
Thank you, Dr. Roundtree. Any other discussion? Ms. Reed, will you please call the roll?
Ms. Bond,
Yes.
Ms. Franklin,
Yes.
Dr. Gitry,
Yes.
Ms. Pardon,
Yes.
Mr. Roberts,
Yes.
Dr. Roundtree,
Yes.
Ms. Purcell.
Yes.
7 in favor.
Motion carries. Do I have a motion to approve the payment of the bills as presented?
So moved.
Dr. Gitry and Ms. Franklin, any discussion? Ms. Reed, will you please call the roll?
Ms. Bond,
Yes.
Ms. Franklin,
Yes.
Dr. Gitry,
Yes.
Ms. Pardon,
Yes.
Mr. Roberts,
Yes.
Dr. Roundtree,
Yes.
Ms. Purcell.
Yes.
7 in favor.
Motion carries. Okay, now we'll move on to our business meeting. Dr. Kelly Gimple will provide his report from the superintendent.
Yes, good evening. I'm excited to provide an update to my 90-day plan. Just over the last 2 weeks, of course, the first week was not nearly as much fun because I had to get calls from folks on the road at 4 a.m. and make very difficult decisions. And I got to say that this past Monday was really unusual when I woke up at 4 o'clock and my phone wasn't ringing. So, but yes, we were able to get everybody back in school, and it was just a fantastic week. So I want to provide this update. I've got some slides that I've prepared. Just so you have an idea of what's been going on the last couple weeks. And this is really for the public and for the board members here. So I've had 18 different interviews with our staff here and 5 board members, and several more scheduled this week. I think by the end of next week, I should have all board members. I'm meeting individually with each of you. And these are like formal meetings. These aren't just the phone calls that I have with you all just about every day. This is more me getting to know you and doing like an interview of you. But also, 18 interviews. I've had 2 out of my 8 listening sessions, which have been absolutely outstanding. I so appreciate people who have come out and just shared what they love about this division, what this division needs to do, and what I need to do to help this division to improve, and just giving their inferences. And one thing is very, very clear. People are so proud of their communities in this school division, and very, very proud to be a part of Montgomery County Public Schools. We've had over 70 people attend our listening sessions, and I think each one has gone over the allotted time because people want to talk, right? People want to share. And I think that's just a wonderful, wonderful thing. I'm asking folks to come out from 6 to 7:30 at night after they've worked all day or you know, it's family time, and they're coming out to their schools to share with their new superintendent their feelings about the division. And that's just a great indication of the engagement here. I also appreciate that I've had a few of the Board of Supervisors have come out and also attended, and also a few of our board members have come out and attended those listening sessions. I have 2 more scheduled this week, so please, you don't actually have to live in that area to attend one of the listening sessions. But Eastern Montgomery from 6 to 7:30 on tomorrow night, and then the following night there on Thursday will be Christiansburg Middle. So please come out and join the listening sessions. It is a good time, and it's a great opportunity to share all the things about Montgomery County that your new superintendent needs to know. Going further, here's the remaining listening sessions. And that's just for reference. This will be up on the website, so anybody can go ahead and check these out. But all of them are at 6 p.m., and they're all around the division. So please come out and share with me. School visits so far, I've had a great opportunity to get out to several of our schools. More indication of just how special Montgomery County Public Schools are. The one thing I noticed walking into any building right away, and this is without, announcing myself or anything like that, it's just the looks on folks' faces and the smiles I see of our students and the laughing and the fun that our staff is having working with our students. It is so apparent how hard our principals and our staff and our folks here in Montgomery County work to create the culture of very productive schools. And they are great environments to walk around in. I just popped into any old class anytime as I was walking around with the principal. I saw this young lady right here across from me doing a great presentation. I thought it was a student teacher that was presenting there. And here it was her doing one of her presentations in one of her classes. And totally unscripted, I just walked in and got to enjoy her entire presentation, which was absolutely outstanding and impressive, I say, by the way. But I've seen that all over the place, elementary schools and in our high schools and middle schools, and what pride our principals have in their buildings, and they should. Tremendous job that our custodians do in keeping up our buildings. And I look at all kinds of things, and I've just been really blown away and just so pleased to see what's going on in our buildings so far, and I can't wait to visit the rest of them. And again, you see there some of the folks that have joined me on these visits. Ms. Coran has come out and joined me on a couple of the school visits. Mary Biggs came out to listening session. Dr. Guthrie, thank you so much for coming to the listening session and staying all night there. And staying even past, I think when I left, you were still sitting there having a conversation. So thank you for your engagement as well, sir. Yep. So in addition, I've had lots and lots of meetings, as you might imagine, as I'm trying to learn as much as possible about our school division. And this is just a synopsis of, this is not all of them, but this is a lot of the important ones. I've met with the sheriff, Sheriff Parton. At one time, Police Chief Ramsey. I met with a couple of our APs about a dissertation. They gave us some great ideas on the calendar. Also, Town of Blacksburg Mayor, Town of Christiansburg Mayor, great meetings with them. These are all folks that have come out here to this building to sit down and talk for anywhere from a half hour to an hour, and just to share the things that they know about our county and just to help me to get acclimated. And I just really appreciate that. Board of Supervisors, I attended that meeting last week, had a chance to speak with them. And the county administrator took time out of her day to meet with me for a good hour. And just all kinds of great meetings with folks. And I just really appreciate the onboarding and the interest that people have in making sure that I'm informed and that they offer their opinion. Parents, if you're out there and you want to schedule a meeting, please call or email me. Tasha's already lined up several parent meetings for me over the next couple of weeks, and I'm getting scheduled out a little bit into March, but that's fine. If you have something you want to share, something you think I need to know, I am all ears at this point, and it is part of my 90-day plan to learn as much as I possibly can. I'm not coming into Montgomery saying I know everything, because I don't. I'm coming here to work with those that have feet on the ground and have been a part of this community and know best before I make key decisions. Black History Month, I wanted to share a little bit about some of the activities I've seen in our buildings, and this is just a very short sample that I've collected this information as I attended the 6 or 7 different buildings, and there's far more, and we're going to be putting those on our website just to share out, but here's some neat things that I actually saw with my own eyes and I was aware of in talking to some of the principals, and it's great to see our schools engaging Black History Month in the way that they are. Had a long talk with our principals, it's all level principals, about virtual learning days and the fact that we've got to make sure, and to the gentleman that just spoke, this is in response to some of the things that he mentioned as well. We've got to make sure we're taking the most advantage of the opportunities we have to teach students, even when we do a virtual day. So our principals were very good about coming up with suggestions on how we might enhance that. And so here's a few of the things that we already have in place. The exact schedule we have not put together. We're going to leave a little bit of autonomy with our leveled principals to come up with some of those things. But the most important thing is instruction will continue. And we've got to continue pushing that needle up the field, pushing that ball up the field, and preparing our kids by providing new instruction during those virtual days. And we have the capability. We learned a lot during COVID, and we need to take most advantage of those opportunities, even when we call virtual. Hopefully, I won't have to call a single one the rest of this year. But if it does happen, we'll be better prepared for how to handle it. And if you see that grades 3 through 5 will be taking home the Chromebooks ahead of time when we anticipate any type of nasty weather to come in. And the MiFi devices will be distributed to any student that's in need. These things right now are sitting on a shelf, right? So we will distribute those to make sure that kids can get online if they don't have great connectivity at their homes. But the idea is to make sure we provide synchronous instruction and not just check-in time for, 30 minutes or whatever it is. So we want to make sure that's more productive. We have 6 days remaining, and again, I hope not to use any of them, but that's better than just sitting at home doing nothing or just doing a check-in or just having a packet to fill out. So we've worked on that. So thank you, Dr. Widener. Yeah, go ahead. A couple celebrations and congratulations. Again, Jonathan Mayer, got to say, he's the reigning champion of the world right now, the MCPS Teacher of the Year. What an outstanding honor. As I walk around and visit teachers in their classroom, for this gentleman to be recognized like this, man, he's in strong company to be awarded this honor. So I just want to congratulate him again. It becomes more special as I see such talent in our classrooms every day, and just the quality of our instructors. So congratulations, Mr. Mayor. And then Southwest Governor School Science Fair Awards. This is something we're going to have to honor these folks at another date, but I just received this information. It was this past Saturday, and we have some unbelievable students. And here's just a quick example. And if you see, I see a Laura Altizer there from Auburn High School that achieved an award too. But we had a couple first places and lots of second places, third place honorable mention. But this is just, again, this is an indicator of some of the great things that our students are able to produce through the guidance of our instructors and just taking their own initiative. And very proud of these folks. We'll have them present and talk a little bit about the different types of projects. Some of these things will blow your mind when you see some of the things, some of the science projects they have put together. And they look almost like dissertations, the amount of research and just the hard work that went into them and how creative the designs are. Just incredible. And I think you'll all be impressed. But we will have a good sampling of these folks in our next main board meeting next month. And finally, I did want to just publicly thank Dr. Graham. She has been nothing short of just outstanding and just a great resource for me during this transition, and has made herself just available at any turn and just so very helpful. So I know she's not here tonight. But I just want folks to know that, you shouldn't have to do it. You shouldn't have to make sure that it's a successful transition, and she's just gone out of her way to make sure that it is. So I just want to say thank you. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gimple. So now I would like to acknowledge that it is School Board Clerk Appreciation Week. And the Virginia School Board Clerk Appreciation Week is February 16th to 20th, 2026. Excuse me. I have a proclamation that I would like to read from the Virginia School Board Association. Whereas school board clerks in each locality throughout our great Commonwealth are appointed by law to fulfill their duties and responsibilities, and whereas school board clerks are responsible for keeping accurate records of the meetings and proceedings of the school board, a record of all receipts and disbursements, and a record of all official acts, and whereas school board clerks perform such other duties in connection with the school business of their county or city as may be required by the school board, and whereas school board clerks maintain frequent contact with the public, including parents, employees, the media, on behalf of the school board and superintendent, and whereas school board clerks, in performance of their duties, are often required to work extra hours attending school board meetings, and whereas school board clerks help to ensure students achieve their highest potential and provide an invaluable service for our school board members and superintendents. And now, therefore, the VSBA Board of Directors does hereby recognize February 16th to 20th, 2026 as School Board Clerk Appreciation Week in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Thank you so much, Ms. Osborne and Ms. Reed, for everything that you do for us. Much of it is very invisible to the public and even to us, but we are able to function because of the work that you do tirelessly. So thank you. Okay. So moving on, our next item on the agenda is an update from the MCEA. Katie Seidemann, the MCEA president, will present an update from the Montgomery County Education Association. This is information and no action is expected.
Good evening, Chair Purcell, Dr. Gimple, members of the board, Laura. Thank you for allowing me to be here tonight to present to you a report on behalf of the Montgomery County Education Association. First, I'd like to give the board an update on our collective bargaining negotiation progress. We have had a very productive meeting with Dr. Gimple last week and brought him up to speed on all of our current contracts. We also discussed our upcoming renegotiations for our certified CBA and established a timeline for that process. Specifically, a survey was recently sent out last week to all MCPS certified staff to provide feedback regarding the top priorities for the upcoming renegotiation. The survey will close on Friday. Following the survey, we will develop our negotiation topics with our collective bargaining committee and then officially present those to the MCPS administration and the board. After that, negotiations will begin. We will continue to keep the board updated as we move along in the process. Secondly, many of our MCEA members attended Dr. Gimple's listening sessions that have been held recently. The sessions so far have been well attended and well received, so we'd like to take this opportunity to thank Dr. Gimple for beginning his tenure with MCPS in this way. Next, as you may remember, I have talked several times in my reports about the shortage of substitutes in our schools, specifically the shortages of substitutes for paraprofessionals. I would like to share with the board, if you were not already aware, that the HR department and the MCPS administration has recently created positions for designated paraprofessional substitutes within our school buildings, similar to the designated sub-positions we already have serving our schools. So we would like to thank the administration for recognizing this issue and for taking our suggestions to help find a solution. Next, I would once again ask that you give significant consideration to the diligence and care with which the calendar committee has created the proposed calendars in your discussion, and respect the choices that they have made regarding the calendar as a board-designated committee. Next, as we are in the middle of budget discussions, particularly as it relates to the Board of Supervisors, I would ask that the board please let us know how we can help. It is easy for me to stand up here and give you the budget priorities of the MCEA and affirm that they are necessary for our school system. But we know that you are in a very difficult position when developing the budget. We believe that the collaboration between both boards is the best way for us to find these budget solutions that can work both for the school system and for the county. So if there is anything that the MCEA can do to further help that working relationship, please let us know. Lastly, I know that we are all very concerned about the amount of instructional time we have missed this semester so far, and how much more time we may lose with the potential of more winter weather. However, when looking to solutions to that lost instructions, I would encourage everyone first to look at the educational professionals. As I've said before, no one is more aware of how far behind in instruction we are than the educators that have to catch them up. I encourage you all to look to our educational professionals, not only for solutions, but also to hear their concerns for any solutions already proposed. A comprehensive educational plan should be rigorous, accessible, and very importantly, flexible. Are there any questions I can answer for you tonight?
Thank you so much. I'll keep this brief. Appreciate the update. So have you encouraged the teachers to either make suggestions, or is the MCEA going to gather information? Because,
In regards to the
sorry, the last issue with that you just mentioned, that you want us to listen to the professionals, how are we going to hear from them?
Right now, we have gotten a lot of direction from our principals saying, we have missed a lot of instruction. What are we going to do about it? And I would like to just, again, be very aware that no one is more aware how much algebra they've missed than the algebra teacher, I promise you. And so, especially when we're developing plans for virtual learning days, when we're developing plans for extending the calendar, I would ask that algebra teacher how they plan to make up that time, to make up that instruction, to make up that material. Then, from there, maybe make a plan that says, well, that's not going to work with our remaining calendar days. But I bet you it does. Because I really do trust our teachers, our educators, to make those plans in a way that where they're going to get through all the material just in time for SOLs, but also in a way that allows the students to grasp the material rather than shoving it down their throats, which is not what I'm saying administration or anyone is suggesting. But I think we missed 2 weeks of school, and everyone is very, very concerned about that. But we're really good at developing different ways to teach, different avenues to teach, different ways to teach the same material, either quicker or slower or more or less. And so I just want everybody to take a deep breath and know that we are the professionals, and with our administration, it's going to be okay.
Dr. Antry? Dr. Gimple?
Yeah. Thank you for coming the other night. Yeah, taught all day, and then she actually came out and sat there the entire listening session. So I appreciate you being there.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. And just to follow up on the missed days, I think it'd be good, not just for the current situation, but looking forward to years, having some input from the teaching professionals as to how do we address extended time weather events and whatnot. Well, a day is relatively easy to recuperate from. 5 days is pretty difficult. 10 days is really difficult.
It is,
So,
yes.
but being able to manage those or develop those plans would be beneficial. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Ms. Seidemann, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Our next item on the agenda are school calendar proposals. The administration presented 2 drafts of school calendars for the 2026-2027 school year on February 3rd, 2026. The calendars are brought back tonight for discussion and to select a calendar for approval. Dr. Amanda Widener interim assistant superintendent is available for questions if needed. So, do I have a motion to approve one of the school calendar drafts? Do we want to start there?
Make a motion to approve calendar draft number 1.
Second.
Mr. Roberts suggested calendar draft number 1. That is the calendar that does not have a full week over Thanksgiving. Is there a second? I'm sorry, Ms. Bond.
And it also has the spring break with the Easter break, correct?
Yes. Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
So I have a concern with I keep losing it, the 26th, where's that? Okay. The 6th of March being a early release day instead of being a full close day. If we're talking about students attending, that's Good Friday, and a lot of parents have that day off, and they may be traveling, especially with it being linked to a spring break. They're not coming to school for half a day.
Other comments, suggestions, amendments to the calendar? So, just to clarify, Ms. Franklin, you would suggest to just have the 26th as a non-instructional day? Mr. Roberts?
Can we make an amendment to the calendar on the 26th, making that a full day?
Yes.
You can modify your,
Okay, well then,
Motion.
I would modify the motion to make the 26th a full day.
and then you just need approval from the second.
I can accept that.
Okay, so we have a friendly amendment to add that non-instructional day for the 26th. Mr. Roundtree, or Dr. Roundtree? Any comments, suggestions?
Yeah, I'm in favor more of calendar 2 and potential slight modifications on it over calendar 1. The significant absenteeism on Monday and Tuesday of Thanksgiving break is an issue for me, and then also the Easter break there on the other calendar has it such that we don't have to do that additional day for 6 days off rather than just the Friday to Monday spring break. So for calendar 1, unless there's a significant modifications to make it more like calendar 2, my vote would be no. And that's all.
Dr. Guitry?
Yeah, so I'm going to probably be the lone vote against the calendar, and I accept that. I do have just a couple of quick questions about the calendar committee. So I have long been a proponent of community engagement and our committees. This one's a superintendent committee. So has there been a call to have community members to join the calendar committee? Is it basically the same committee that's rolled over from one year to the other? Because I know that there may be some changes, and the reason I'm asking is as a parent, I looked to my email to see if I've received an invitation to be on the committee. Can you tell me a little bit more of how you select people what that process is like?
So the school division at the start of the year, I want to say in either late August or early September, sends out information to our staff and our parents inquiring about interest in joining committees. So the calendar committee is one of the committees that they can express interest in. So we review those results and select people from those committees, trying to get, representation from all 4 of our communities.
Yeah.
This year, we had some returning members who had previously served, but we also had new members.
Okay, great. So I don't know that this is the next couple of questions are specifically for you. I just wanted to find a little bit more because it said there was a suggestion it was a board committee, but it's a superintendent's committee. Because one of the things that I've heard is that some of the decisions of the board's kind of baked into decisions are made by, and this may just be rumor, to the calendar committee. So they know, like, people who are on the calendar committee who know the history of these discussions know that there are going to be a couple of board members who absolutely won't vote for calendar unless it aligns with Protestant Catholic Easter. So, and that's not to disparage the work of the committee, because I know they work really hard. But so one of the things that came up in our previous discussion is about absenteeism, and now that does count against us. I had asked for some additional information and for a little bit more context for this, and thank you for providing that. I did some number crunching this afternoon. Ms. Osborne, could you pull up that slide with the information? So we should make it, again, I may lose here completely, but I just want to point this out. We should be making data-informed decisions, and so one of the values of having that alignment with Radford and Virginia Tech last year, and then having the data before, is to make a comparison. And this was really fascinating. So I was looking at weeks where there was high absenteeism. One of the things I noticed was mid-December. I was like, oh, that's when there were no classes at Virginia Tech. But when I looked at the calculations, so in 23, 24, we did not have alignment. And so when you look at the absenteeism during Virginia Tech spring break, and also one of the things that was interesting was how high absenteeism was around spring break, because that year we spread it out, so it was from Thursday until Tuesday the next week. So like the Wednesday before, there was 984. But if you look at if you look at the week of Virginia Tech spring break, and you look at the days around Protestant Catholic Easter, the total I came up with was 6,000 absences over that 8-day period. Now, if you look at 24, 25, I thought if people are really traveling for the Protestant Catholic Easter around which was April 20th, that we would have seen some sort of spike, particularly that Thursday right before, because that Friday is Good Friday. But when I looked at the data for that around Easter, what I noticed here when I looked at the numbers was it was actually in line with our average, which is about 480 absences a day for a lot of weeks. So I'm just pointing out we're really concerned about absenteeism. When I was drilling down with some of the data, a lot of it has to do with our largest employer. So it's just something that I want the board to consider, that 6,000, that's a lot of absences. So I think that should be taken into consideration in our deliberations about calendar decisions. But this is less a comment for you. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit of my experience, and I'm going to shut up because I think I'm the only one who's going to talk on behalf of this part of our community. So when I came to Virginia Tech, it was much like what we've experienced in January and February, lots of snow days. And so 2 children, one in elementary school, the other was at Rainbow Riders. And unfortunately, we didn't make enough, so we were doing part-time. And I didn't realize that, really didn't realize, is that when there were snow days at MCPS, that room was closed, so our kid was at home. And I can tell you that it about killed us. I remember thinking a couple of years in, I was like, this place is going to kill me. And so to those community members who are dying because of what happens in this community because of snow, mountains, we live in a company town. Virginia Tech is our largest employer in this county. I hear your pain. I know this is very difficult. So I know there's a conflict of interest. There are people who, when I was being elected, they were like, please align the calendar, because this is very difficult for a lot of parents in our community. So I'm going to shut up now, but I'm just telling you out there, if you're watching, I feel your pain and I am sorry. Okay.
Ms. Parton?
So first off, I want to thank the calendar committee for all of their time and effort. I know it's a lot of work, and I know how much time goes into it, and I know it's time above and beyond everybody else's job that they have to do on a normal daily basis. So thank you for all the time and input and the information. I just want to make sure everybody knows how much I appreciate everyone that's been on that committee and what you're doing. Honestly, I don't like either one, but that's nothing new. I don't feel like the kids are in school enough, and I've been saying that since I've been on the board. I have a very good suggestion for spring break is not to have one. I can see having a few days. I'm still not in favor of having a full week for many reasons. One, we just heard from public address, and just from things I've seen at the end of the year with our testing and where we're falling, I have to say I'm very concerned. I did have a couple of questions. So I know the absences have been a big play-in to what the calendars look like this year. So my main question to you is, with the percentages that we have on the absences, have any of the absences that you all have tracked so far made us not reach accreditation because of an absence, because of the absences in any of our schools?
All of our schools are fully accredited. Now, when we look at our framework scores from last year, at each level, because that's based on a 100-point score. So depending on what level it is, absenteeism is factored in.
Okay, so
So did we have any schools who were either, designated as off track or
due to absences?
Solely because of absenteeism? No.
Okay. So that was my first question. My second one is, are the totals that you give on each side in red for the total, I guess it's the total, I'm sorry, Amanda. Is it the total hours of that semester? Like on the first one, it's got a total of 86 on the left and a total of 94, which equals 180 for that
Those are the
calendar.
total of days.
Days. Okay, do we have, how many instructional days are in each semester? Actual instructional work days?
Well, with these calendars, so on draft one, it was 86 days in the first semester, 94 in the second, so that gives us a total of 180 instructional days. On draft two, a slight differentiation of 85 days in the first semester and 95 in the second, for a total of 180 days.
I know at one time, I remember having talk that we were trying to get those a little bit more equal because of things like weather and things like that. And then I know we have more holidays in the first semester than we do the second. But I was just trying to see, I thought we were maybe going to try to move closer because we're at least a week off in days from the first semester to the second, right?
We are, yeah, the first semester does have fewer days, and that has been the trend for the last several years. We typically lose more days in the second semester due to weather.
Okay.
So that's where it kind of evens out.
All right. I think that was all of the questions that I may have had, but I'll let Miss Bond go. If I have anything else, I'll ask. But thanks so much for the time and the information on the calendars from you and the committee as well.
Ms. Bond?
Thanks again. Everybody knows where I stand on spring break. I am willing to make a sacrifice on the first calendar because it does combine 2 breaks together, so it's not so hard. I do understand, Tech being our biggest employer of the county, I understand that completely, but not everybody's employed by Tech. And there's a whole lot of people in the county that are not. And we got emails last year from parents. A neighbor of mine, to tell a story, as a grandparent raising a granddaughter who took her vacation time for spring break. It cost her $250 for daycare. I personally called all the daycares and they said, yeah, it's almost impossible to fill at spring break time. So with understanding the needs of some, there are also that many parents in needs in a different route. So we're not going to please everybody. But for me, I have to vote for what my constituents want me to do, or what I feel like my constituents reach out to me, just like fellow board members have to vote their way. So with that being said, I respect the need and the want for it to coincide with Tech spring break, but that does not work for everyone. So I'm going to support the first calendar due to that fact. And as far as the absentee days, you know, I understand we're trying to maybe fix that, but I don't know that we can fix absenteeism until we start having more school, because we've gotten out of the habit of it being important for students to attend. I think we're getting there, but sad to say, COVID did a devastational thing, and it really, truly, I believe, nobody has to agree with me, it's my opinion, it formed some habits. And I think we're struggling to get out of those habits. With that being said, I don't know that just because we give those days off, are we going to change absenteeism? So, again, excuse me? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bond. Are there other thoughts or comments? I was actually more in alignment with Dr. Roundtree, excuse me, the calendar version 2 that already had the 26th as part of the break, and it also had the full week in November to account for high rates of absenteeism on that Monday and Tuesday before Thanksgiving. I thought that version made a lot of sense, but if it's just the two of us. Other thoughts?
Yeah, just some responses to Dr. Guitry's points. I can't remember if it's October or November. You came before us and asked for guidance for the calendar committee, and I pushed for us to give them some strong guidance. For example, align the break with Virginia Tech. That was the time to have those fights, to say to the committee, this was what we want. And then when they come back to us and they didn't do what we asked them to do, then we can change things. But at this point, you have to somewhat respect. We gave them guidance. The only real guidance that I recall, and we can go back and look at it, is that we wanted 180 days. And they gave us 2 calendars with 180 days. And that was what we did. I asked for us to be stronger about it, and everybody was like, let's see what the committee gives us.
Okay, so, again, I would rather do budget than calendar any day. As as far as the full week of Thanksgiving, you know, Ms. Parton pointed this out to me. Just because we have folks who don't send their kids to school those days, does that mean we're gonna constantly send messages to the community that all you have to do is not send your kids to school, and then we'll make those days that you don't have to bring them to school? Instead of saying it's important for you to come to school on those days, okay? Figure it out. We actually moved the calendar back to give an extra day before Thanksgiving years ago. And not just Thanksgiving Day and the day after. It's important for our students to be in school. Virginia Tech, I know some of y'all love it. I don't particularly love it, right? May be the largest employer, but all of its employees do not get the same break at spring break that some employees get. I've worked with people, I know people who they work there, but they don't get a spring break like everybody else gets, like some people get. So yes, that's important, but there are, as Ms. Bond has said, there is a larger number of folks in the community who don't work at Virginia Tech. So with the change of March the 26th, I am okay with calendar number 1. We want 180 days, and somebody's got to figure out how that works. And the folks who are doing the work and community members with their input, they bring stuff back to us. And we figure out what we can do with it. We go round and round, and we pretty much end up doing the same thing. 1 year this way, 1 year that way. And we move on. So as you will see in a presentation later, how our hours are calculated instead of days because of 15 days that we missed 1 year. And across the whole state, folks were scrambling with what they needed to do to get kids to school, and then to make up for those extra days that they missed as far as instruction. And again, thank you to our teachers and other professionals who know how to make it work. It's gonna snow, we're gonna have ice, it's gonna flood. There's not much we can do about it. But we have said we don't want this calendar year to go into June. Quite frankly, that first week in June for me is still in play. If people know that that's when school is gonna be in session, then they'll make their plans around school being in session. So, anyway, yeah. So nobody wants us to go to school in June, but if we need to do that to build the calendar in to make it work for everybody, so everybody gets breaks all year long for as many days as they want, then that's what we'll end up doing. Nobody wants to do that.
I think I could go, I don't think I could go down the dais all the way around and pick out very compelling points everyone here has made. And I would point out Mr. Thomas's perspective as well. My biggest gripe with calendar number 2 is the week of Thanksgiving being off. I think we're acquiescing to a very small percentage of people not showing up. I agree with Ms. Franklin that we are potentially sending a message that just will essentially roll over to people not bringing their children to school, and I think that's a bad message to send. I also think we have got a full break. With a full Thanksgiving break, we've got full week off, 3 weeks in session, 2 weeks off when there's so much time the children are going to be out of school that I think it gets them out of the rhythm. So I'm going to praise everybody for keeping it civil. I didn't quite realize how contentious this was going to be when I signed up. The calendar, I've gotten more nasty comments from people than I do in my typical day. But I'm going with number one. And I hope I've at least given you some indication of why I'm choosing that.
Further comments, thank you, Mr. Roberts. Further comments, Dr. Roundtree?
Sure, I think the logic of the full week versus partial week is mainly that there's a lot of people that are transplants to the area, and in order for them to go visit family and whatnot, it is a distance for them to go. So they just take off those extra 2 days, pulling their kids out of school. So if we move those to someplace else, that's beneficial for those families and for the children not to miss instructional days. I mean, if we want to, if we want to recap 2 days, and I know I'll get nasty emails about it, take the ones from beginning of January back. Their families do not like the 12-day continuous out of school at Christmas time. It's the additional 2 days is a strain on parents that are not the majority employment with Virginia Tech that have jobs that they go to work on the 4th, and they'll be going to work on the 4th and 5th of January. A 10-day vacation there is better, but I don't think I'll get that here tonight. That's it.
Other
So
comments? Oh, Ms. Franklin, go ahead.
I'll just say those 2 days that were added in January were work days for the teachers, were for them to help get prepared for the next semester. The calendar committee and the board worked very hard to end semesters before the winter break because we would have students in the situation like we've had this year, coming back to school still at the end of a semester and missing days and days of instructional time before they had to do all their final work. And then the teachers would have to immediately be prepared to go into the next semester the next day. So that was part of the reasoning behind ending school, ending the semester before winter break, and giving a couple of extra days for teachers to prepare for the next semester. A lot of people don't understand. It's not like it used to be, and it just continues the whole school year. There are semesters. This one ends, this one begins. Just like we give teachers the couple of days before school starts to make sure they're prepared, it's only fair to give them a couple of days when the new semester starts so that they can be prepared.
Yeah, I'm not proposing to not give teacher work days. I'm just proposing to cut that vacation time down by 2 days all around. So the days off where the schools are completely closed are 8 days, not 10. And like I said, I'll get meanness from that, but it's fine.
Where's my keyboard?
Yeah, you can type to me.
Dr. Getry, go for it.
Thank you. I've been waiting to respond. So just several things. First off, I was in the minority, so I couldn't direct the will of the board. I know one of the things we did ask is for a survey. This year went slightly in favor of, I think it was the Easter break last week. Last year, it was slightly in favor of the alignment. So just on that point. Also, one of the things that was raised at the previous meeting was about absenteeism. We got some data. I asked for more data. I analyzed the data, 6,000, validated some of what I know anecdotally. It put some numbers behind it, so I feel like that should be in consideration. I apologize for my verbal response. The reason I did it is that there are Radford employees and Virginia Tech employees that live across this county. They live in your district. So when you say my people, it sounds like you don't represent these people, and you do. Now, I do want to address a couple of other things that were raised. One is that there was a study of graduate students at Virginia Tech, and about, I think, a quarter of them have children. There was kind of a political crisis several years ago because the number of those graduate students who are on public assistance. So you have an image in your mind of the people who are affected by this decision. And I remember a previous board chair, I wrote to her because she was kind of rolling her eyes, and I was like, you have to realize that there's a diversity of individuals in our community. They're not all professors sitting around drinking an espresso. You know, that is not the reality in our community. There are lots of people who are underpaid. And another thing, just to enlighten you, in case this might be helpful information, is during that spring break is when a lot of people are expected to go to conferences to conduct research. That's when they're supposed to do it because they can't take off the other time. So what that means is they have to find childcare. In fact, right now, Virginia Tech is trying to deal with the crisis of childcare, and they're studying it. It's in surveys. They're trying to provide services because one of the problems is that when there's misalignment, they need childcare because they need to go to conferences. It's not like they're just going off and traveling around the world in some luxury lifestyle. So it grates on me because I know that there are people in our community who are affected by this. So when you dismiss those people, you are dismissing people that you represent in this community. So that's all I'm going to say on this matter. I'm not going to talk any more about it.
Ms. Parton?
Go ahead. No, I'll just say, I'm glad to hear that Virginia Tech is looking at the issue of childcare because it just doesn't affect folks at Virginia Tech. It affects folks across the whole country. But I'm glad they're doing something to look at that because maybe they can come up with a model that'll help everybody else in the country with their childcare. So, you know, and I'll get stuff about this, but to comments that there are people who come who are transit in this community and come from different places, they choose to. They choose to. If I choose to move my family 500 miles away from where my home was at, and there are other people in this county who do the same things for work, then you know that means you may not be able to travel back and forth to be with family or whatever you would like to be with where you came from, because it's just not possible, especially once your children get to be school age. That's part of the facts. Your kids get to be school age and things change. We can't just go like we used to because the kids are in school.
Ms. Parton, did you have more?
Amen to what Penny said because I am originally from here, however, my husband is not, and all of his family, even though we are still within the same state, it is a very good distance away, and there have been several holidays that we have not been able to visit his side of the family due to things like she just mentioned. But I know with the calendar, as with just about everything else we do, we're never going to make a calendar that is going to please 100% of Montgomery County. We're just not. So we need to try to do the best we can and put in our input as to what we feel is important. Let people tell us what they feel is important, because everybody's got a different idea of, and everybody's thinking of themselves and their situation, probably more than what we need to be thinking about with the calendar, and that is our kids and our children. So for me, when I'm approving a calendar or I'd like to think about things, I'm going to look at data we have as far as how our kids are doing, the fact that our kids need to be in school, and the fact that we need to put our kids' interest above anything else, whether that be our plans, what Virginia Tech week is spring break, what Radford University week is spring break, and do what is best for us. Thank you.
Ms. Bond, did you have anything further? Laura I'm sorry. Please share.
All I really wanted to add was, I guess question number one, are the winter breaks on both calendars the same just because of the semester? Okay. The second thing I would just like to say, as from a student point of view, I personally find the partial Thanksgiving break to be a better solution, just on the fact of seeing that there are more breaks being put into the first semester rather than the second semester. From what I can tell from my peers, the second semester is usually the most stressful part of the year. And I find myself and the people surrounding me often looking forward towards breaks more in that half of the year. And so I would find it beneficial if we're keeping both calendars to 180 days across the board, moving those 2 days, which I personally have found I've never really seen a noticeable effect of having those days as school days compared to as not school days. I think it's more beneficial to move those two off days from school to the spring semester to prioritize student mental health and further breaking up and balancing the school semester. That's it.
Chairperson, I was going to make one comment, though. With us moving the 26th of March to a closed day instead of an early release, is there an idea to take one of those work days, the 5th in January, to make it the calendar 180 days? Because if we add the 26th, that moves it down to 179 days. So that would kind of alleviate a little of that one day after the Christmas break, winter break, and it would give Good Friday, but we would still maintain 180 days. Just a thought.
Yeah, the alternative could also be to move the week that we're off to the week of the 26th rather than the following week. So having the spring break period that we're off be the 22nd to the 26th instead of the 29th to the 2nd of April. So take the spring break from calendar 2 and make it calendar 1. Off the week of Good Friday.
And I could support that, other than we did hear the argument of Monday that a lot of, in the past, teachers had wanted that day off after Easter and families. So, but again, as I said before, we're not going to please everybody, and there's people in all over the county that work for everybody and get days off and don't get days off, and I do think I said that, but, I can support that as well, as long as it's tying in the two breaks together and we're not having two separate breaks.
So calendar 1 doesn't give two separate breaks. And for me, because I think a break that early in March, especially, is too soon. Move it, even into April, but I know that gets into other issues. So that's why I'm okay with it being split that second week or that last week in March, because it pushes the break down and gives them students some time to be in school before they have another break.
I agree. I was just trying to help.
So, Mr. Roberts, this is your motion. Do you have would you want to amend your motion in any way to compensate a closed day on March 22nd with taking a day from somewhere else?
March 26th.
Sorry, March 26th. March 22nd is my daughter's birthday, and that's why it was on my mind.
So I'm cautious to hack up the committee's calendar. And I know how much effort was put into it, and I'm genuinely hopeful that y'all don't take it like we're up here dismissing the work. I don't know where I would take that day from. I don't know where I would replace it. Well, I certainly would be open to do that, but again, I was not on the committee.
This year, if I may, has been the least changed calendar of any calendar that has ever came before us.
Is it?
Yes. So, and to my assumption is the calendar committee is designated to bring forth us a calendar, and then we critique it to what we feel like the needs are. But this small little, I mean, we're just basically accepting one or the other, and we've only changed one half day. So that's amazing. It truly is.
The other issue is, and this might be anecdotal, the thought of my 3 kids in the house for 2 weeks becomes challenging. I'm looking for ways to get out of there as quickly as possible. It's true.
Can I make a suggestion about where you might make up that day?
Thank you, Dr. Widener.
Please.
If it would be the will of the board to leave spring break as it is in draft 1, so the week of the 29th to the 2nd, but giving off Friday the 26th. So we would have 6 days. If you look at draft 2, the end of the school year, on draft 1, the school year ends on Thursday, May 27th, with the 28th as a work day. If you look at draft 2, because we had to pick up an extra day in that one, we made the last day of school Friday the 28th and had the work day on June 1st. That's one way where we could add another day into draft 1, but give that Friday, March 26th off, if that is the will of the board.
Perfect. And I do have to say, I genuinely appreciate Dr. Guitry's compassion and the time that he's put into crunching those numbers. And I always appreciate an impassioned argument, and I appreciate you saying that to us. So my motion will be exactly what Dr. Widener just said.
So
Ms. Bond?
just a reminder to, that we haven't discussed, October 2nd is a Friday football game. We discussed in our last meeting moving the October 9th teacher workday to October 2nd in order to account for that, so we're not running buses on a Virginia Tech football game night.
And to Dr. Roundtree's comment, I do have to say that I know several bus drivers who, even though we get out early that day, the traffic for the ball game starts like at 10 o'clock in the morning because they're tailgating. And they even have trouble picking up kids and taking them to school that day. But even more so, the traffic that they get stuck in, even with an early release that day. So I'm glad you brought that up, because I have heard that from bus drivers as far as how hard it has been for them to manipulate and get the kids where they needed to be on time on those particular ball game days.
That does push us having 2 teacher work days back weeks on a Monday and a Friday.
Would we keep the fall break day of Monday, October 12th? Or would we have the,
Indigenous Peoples' Day.
But that's not always a day that school is closed.
No, historically, that's not been a day that it's been closed, but we did try to align it this year with a holiday that many people do observe and places of business. I think there would be two options there. You could move the teacher workday on the 9th to the 2nd, which would put it before the end of the marking period, but still fairly close to it. I don't think we could end the marking period on the 2nd. That seems a little early. Or you could leave the 9th as a teacher workday and move the fall break, the holiday, which we currently have on October 12th, and move that to the 2nd. I think it would be hard to do a workday on the 2nd because even,
It's hard for everybody to move around that day.
It's going to give us 3 consecutive weeks that are 4-day weeks.
and then the third option would be to make the 2nd an early release day.
Okay, so isn't the point of the way it's scheduled right now to give folks a break after that first quarter?
Yes, the way that the fall break is structured in draft one is that the first quarter concludes on Thursday, the 8th. It gives teachers and staff Friday, the 9th to close out their grades, and then it gives everybody that Monday a break.
Right. So if we're doing that before all that occurs, off.
Huh?
Bless you.
October 2nd is currently a school day, but that's also a Friday night football game for Virginia Tech. Yeah.
I don't think it was announced. The football schedule wasn't announced, I think, when the drafts came out, but then it had been, and yeah.
October the 2nd is a Friday night football game for Virginia Tech. And right now, we have it as a regular school day, which will not work. So you're suggesting to move the 9th to the 2nd, right? And I understand the reason behind that because of Virginia Tech. But again, does that work best for the school system?
Absolutely. I mean,
It's-
operations of a school day for a large portion of our schools is virtually not possible for transportation reasons and whatnot.
Right, but my point is, just like I was saying before, if we are closing school before, according to how the calendar was laid out, to give fall break and to give teachers a work day, and we're due it on the 2nd, then that kind of defeats the purpose. But we're gonna have to close on the 2nd because, as you said, you can't function
Right.
in that part of the county.
Ready?
Mr. Roberts, oh, go ahead, Dr. Gipple.
Yeah, I can throw a total wrench in everything you're talking about here. So you can throw something at me if I throw you in the left field. But if you wanted to take the 2nd, make that a work day. One thing we're kicking around, we've been discussing, is a transition day on the 10th, which would be only for kindergarten, 6th grade, and 9th grade. Still counts as a school day in terms of your 990. But it allows those 3 grade levels, as they're entering their schools for the first time, in kindergarten and sixth grade, starting middle school, and then ninth grade starting high school, to have one full day with their schools prior to the rest of the students showing up and the chaos that ensues with that, right?
You're talking August.
I'm talking August 10th,
Okay.
making that a transition day. 11th is the first day of school, and then making your October 2nd football day a teacher work day.
Just a thought to that. I think that's a great idea. The only thing that would be another idea to that might not work is those kindergartners that have second graders and third graders, brothers and sisters who help them, or same with sixth graders that have eighth grade brothers and sisters that help them get on and off the bus, help them find their way, help them find their classes. So that kind of, I hear the transition idea, but I think a lot of students, not every student, mind you, but some of them might have older siblings that, help them through that first day. So if they're not there, then they can't.
And they might be there, because a lot of times your older students are like the ambassadors. And so it's a design that I've seen work in divisions, and it really gets rave reviews from your parents, because it just puts those new students to the school that are terrified to walk in the first day an opportunity just to go through their classes. There's other programs, you get exposed to all the clubs and all the other opportunities. And usually your older students are like the ambassadors that are helping them to become acclimated. So it could be that their older siblings are a part of that.
Let's try it.
All right.
Mr.
Follow
Roberts,
me.
would you like to amend your?
Amend my amended motion to amend it more? Yes, I will make a motion to amend the 10th to be 10th of August to be a transition day for kindergarten, 6th, and 9th.
Second.
Ms. Bond, are you okay with that? You had the original second.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, so we'll make October 2nd a teacher workday, October 10th, or August 10th will be a transition day, which counts as a day of instruction and keeps us at 180. Oh, well, and we have and we also have the extra day for March 26th, which would go from an early release to a non-instruction day. Those reflect your amendments?
And May 31st
And the last day of school
is the 28th, and May 31st is the teacher workday.
is the 28th, and the 31st is a teacher workday. Okay. Do you have that, Ms. Osborne?
I'm definitely going to have to reread that motion.
Okay.
So I have motion to approve calendar draft number 1 with the addition of making March 26th as a non-instructional day, and the last day of school now being Friday, May 28th instead of Thursday, May 27th. I have with the teacher work day on June 1st, because I think May 31st is Memorial Day.
Correct.
Okay. And making August 10th a transition day for kindergarten, 6th, and 9th grades, and October 2nd a teacher work day.
That's it.
Is that everything?
That's it. Just to make sure that everybody's good with it, we have 4 weeks in a row that are 4-day weeks.
So I was going to say, that's keeping the closed fall break on the 12th of October and the teacher workday on the 9th? Or is that in place of this as far as the 2nd?
It was keeping it.
Keeping it, because we've got to close the 2nd.
So you're going to have kids out of school the 2nd, the 9th, and the 12th of October.
And the 21st
And
of
September 21st.
Yeah. That's not
How
good.
about telling Tech not to have that night game, messing up our calendar?
At least it's not a Thursday anymore.
Yeah.
They're not going back to it, are they?
How much money they make.
Can I ask a couple of questions?
Sure,
Because
Dr.
it seems like
Guidry.
we're just kind of all talking. So I think I'm a little confused because at several points, there was appreciation for the calendar committee. We got to do what the calendar committee, so we should follow their suggestions. We've given them the charge, they've given us a calendar. What I've heard is, it doesn't matter what the calendar committee does, the board's going to do what it's going to do. And what I'm seeing here is we're making all these changes after we're just like, oh, the calendar committee, we love you. Thank you for all your hard work. Are we doing what the calendar committee suggested? Do we ever? So I'm just going to point that out. So how do teachers feel about starting on a Monday? That August the 10th, we're going to have a transition day? So did the calendar committee suggest that? How do you think the calendar committee and teachers are going to, because I've heard strong opinions about starting at the beginning of that week, I'm hearing. So how do you think the calendar committee and teachers are going to feel about starting on that Monday and the 10th? Right, the 10th, am I looking at this correctly?
Monday the 10th.
Yeah,
I can't speak on behalf of them because this is something
spitball.
new.
Yeah,
If it was going to be a regular day of school, I mean, the preference has been not to do that. But this is introducing something new, which is a transition day.
right, okay. So I just want to point that out. We want it both ways. When we don't like something like alignment, oh no, we've got to do what the calendar committee says we got to do, but then look at what we're doing right now. So I don't know how to reconcile that, but I'll just put it out there. I think that there will be teachers who are not happy, even if it's just a transition day, that will want that time. And also, am I correct in that we're adding the Protestant Catholic Easter Monday, the Monday after? Am I right on that? Is that part of the amendment? There's so much in that amendment.
Friday before,
The Good Friday,
right? And then the following week,
and the following week.
the spring break.
Okay, so it's going to be 6 and then the weekend and the weekend before. So, right.
What's
So
that?
it'll be six days, 60 weekdays off for spring break. So it's Friday, the 26th, and followed by the following week, the 29th, 30th, 1st, and 1st and 2nd.
Okay, did the calendar committee suggest that at all?
We had suggested an early release day on Friday, the 26th.
Yeah, okay. That's all I have to say.
Ms. Bond, Ms. Parton? Other?
No, I was,
thoughts?
as I said before, the only change we've made to this calendar was the 26th, making an early release to a full day. And we were just talking about the fact that there's a football game, and because of bus drivers and the difficulties, that might have not been noted. And maybe the calendar committee didn't know about that. So maybe this has come on the agenda since then. So just having to find a solution for something that might have not been observed is what the discussion is now. I personally think that would be an awfully lot of days off there together. If we're going to do something October 2nd, I do think we need to take one of the other days, whatever works. But I think to just add another day is unfair to everybody in the county, not just those that work or don't work or have kids or don't have kids or drive buses or teach. It's just, it's a hardship for everybody.
So, calendar 2 actually, and a lot of this is merging the two calendars. By the way, I'm not for having a 6-day spring break, so I'll be voting for no for a calendar with a 6-day spring break. But calendar 2 does have just the 12th of October off, not the 9th also. So if we got rid of the the day off on the 9th, we would look like calendar 2 and then give off the day on Friday, October 2nd, because we know that it's school operations on a game night are problematic. Then we would be staying largely with the recommendations of the calendar committee. And again, not having off the 26th, so that we're still getting out the Thursday in May. And then the transition day, that's something new that came to us from as a suggestion of a onboarding superintendent, and I think there were several board members that appreciated the suggestion. So there's some things that we can't expect, the calendar committee can't expect, but some of these other arguments were clearly going to be arguments when we were making recommendations. And you can go back and listen to the meeting. I pushed for somebody else to speak up and push to say these are lines in the sand that we won't cross, and nobody would, other than 180 days. So thank you to the calendar committee for adhering to the lines in the sand that we drew, and now we have to make a calendar work for the division.
And I'll just say, if we drew lines in the sand then, or if we draw lines in the sand now, it'll still be the same discussion, because people's minds didn't change from that discussion to this discussion.
It's absolutely right.
So we're still having the same discussion. So whether we agreed back then or agreed now, we're still gonna have the same discussion.
But if we had said that back then we give the calendar committee the guidance to come to us with a calendar that they put together with our guidance, and then we can approve, make sure that there's no errors or no things that are going to be difficult for us to work around, such as the October 2nd day of school. And hopefully it's just a kind of approval. But we should give them that guidance in the future if we want to have things that are definitely going to be in the calendar.
Well, part of the guidance was a spring break, even though I didn't agree with it. This board did give them guidance to put a spring break in there, and they did, both of them. And we also guided them to start midweek school, and that's what they've done. And so there were more guidances in that other than the one thing, which is in here. So it might not have been a line drawn in the sand, so to speak, but I do think there was some guidance on how to prepare the calendar, and it's the same discussion that's been every year. So I think there's some guidance just from previous history of what I think we expect.
There may have been another item or two. When it was discussed to align or not align spring breaks with universities, there was no strong commitment from any.
I'll just add, since people are just talking, there is another option, which is there was additional information, for example, about Virginia Tech in that date, is you could send it back to the calendar committee and say, here are some issues we need fixed. What's the calendar committee think? And bring it before the board instead of getting in the weeds, because that's one of the things that I've heard too, is we get too much in the weeds. So again, I took issue with one item. Obviously, that's not going to get addressed. So I'm just pointing out that there is a third way, or another way.
And we did that last year, and then we pretty much approved one of their proposed calendars from the beginning of the whole process, because we realized that the alignment with Virginia Tech last year didn't work well, or this spring. Yep.
The motion on the floor currently has the days off, in 1, 2, 3, 4 consecutive weeks. So do we want to amend the current motion to, I think, perhaps move the teacher workday on the 9th to the 2nd. Is that the?
Just a question.
You made
why
the
would-
motion, Mr. Roberts.
I just have a question. Why would you move the teacher workday to the 2nd? Why wouldn't you just move the closed fall break from the 12th to the 2nd? I mean, because the teacher workday is there for a reason.
Sure.
So why would we not just entertain the idea of just switching the 12th to the 2nd?
That's
I'm just
also-
asking,
It's also
just a
on the,
question.
that is also on the table. Mr. Roberts, it's your motion.
It's gonna take me a minute to get this to spool up.
Teach you to make the motion on calendar
You
day.
thought, you
Gotta make a decision at some point.
thought budget was gonna be hard.
So, get rid of the fall break on the 12th. Ditch that. Is that what I heard from Ms. Bond? Okay,
Or
so
I think, or we're going to reassign it for the 2nd of
we're to make our
October.
fall break the 2nd, which also deals with the Virginia Tech football game issue.
Correct.
Okay, then I'm gonna make that motion to amend the motion, taking the 12th of October, moving the fall break to the 2nd of October, which is a Friday, which deals with the football issue.
Ms. Bond, do you feel comfortable with that?
Full motion.
Yeah. Ms. Osborne, would you mind repeating the motion for us? Or
Yes.
I don't know if this should have been Ms. Osborne or Ms. Reed. I apologize.
Okay. I have motion to approve calendar draft number 1 with the addition of making March 26th as a non-instructional day instead of early release, with the last day of school now being Friday, May 28th instead of Thursday, May 27th, with adding a teacher workday on June 1st, making August 10th to be a transition day for kindergarten, 6th, and 9th grades, and October 2nd will now be a closed fall break day instead of October 12th.
Dr. Roundtree, does that take care of our consecutive 4-day weeks with that
So
one?
now it's 3.
It is, but I still don't like it.
Did that sound like it covered
Accurately
all
reflected
the
the motion.
amendments? Okay.
And there's no longer a 4-day weekend. Yeah, that's.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? Ms. Reed, will you please call the roll?
Ms. Bond,
Yes.
Ms. Franklin, Dr. Guidry,
No.
Ms. Pardon,
Okay, even though I don't like it, I'm going to say yes to this because we need a calendar and we need to get moving and we're running out of options. So yes, for me.
Mr. Roberts,
Yes.
Dr. Roundtree,
No.
Ms. Purcell.
Yes.
5 in favor, 2 opposed.
Motion carries. Okay. The next, sorry, Ms. Franklin? We voted on the calendar.
Was an amendment to the motion, so didn't we need to vote on the amendments and then vote on the motion as amended?
I thought they were friendly amendments that Mr. Roberts and Ms. Bond agreed to because they were the
Okay.
motion and
Good
second.
enough, good enough. Yep.
The next item on our agenda is regarding instructional hours and unscheduled remote learning update. Dr. Amanda Widener, Interim Assistant Superintendent, will provide information on the number of instructional hours in the MCPS current school calendar. This is information only and no action is expected.
Ms. Osborne, do you have the graphic? Thank you. Virginia Code requires school divisions to complete a school year of at least 180 instructional teaching days or a total of 990 instructional hours per year. Our current calendar, the 25-26 calendar, has 181 days scheduled. Our school days, a full school day, has 6 hours of instruction. So that means that at the start of our school year, we had 1,078.5 hours built into our calendar to ensure that we already have a calendar that greatly exceeds that 990 required hours. As you are aware, we've missed a great deal of school over the last month. As of February 9th, we've missed a total of 68 instructional hours due to inclement weather. That includes 10 days, so that's 60 hours lost there. 4 2-hour delays, that's the other 8 hours. And then we've also tapped into some of our virtual learning days, which do not count against us. The good news is that even with all the time we have lost, we are still compliant with the required hours because we are still above the 990 hours that are required in the Code of Virginia. We are now at 1,010.5 instructional hours remaining in our calendar. As Dr. Gimple referenced, we have the ability to tap into virtual learning days, which we have used 4 of. So the state of Virginia allows school divisions to use up to 10 unscheduled, what they call remote learning days for severe weather. So we did use 4 of those out of those last 10 days that we missed. And with the virtual learning days, there's certain things that we have to do. We have to provide meals to students. We have to ensure that students have access to accommodations that they may be entitled to. But we do have 6 remaining virtual learning days. So should we have more weather in the future, we will plan to use those. And we have met with principals, and principals have talked with their teams about how we can better use those days so they are more valuable and do provide more direct instruction to our students. But I just wanted to give folks an update because I know there's been a lot of questions and a lot of people are under the impression that we're going to have to make up days or make up time. At this point, we will not be required to make up any time. We have to acknowledge that we've lost a great deal of instructional time and consider the impact of that. And that's why our schools and our teams are working diligently to review their pacing, to trim, not to cut things from the curriculum, but to look at ways that they can be efficient in how they're managing and using the time that they have left in the school year. So I just wanted to give the board a quick update on kind of where we stand in terms of our hours. The 990 hours is based on a 5.5-hour day. So our school day is about 6 hours and 45, 6.5 hours, depending on what level. And again, we are able to count 6 of those hours as instructional hours. So each full day, we have 6 hours. So when you multiply that times our 180 days, and I think this year we had 3 early release days scheduled. We do have to subtract those hours. We start well above that 990 threshold.
Board members, any questions? Dr. Antry?
I sure do. Thank you for the update, and I think this was also posted on our social media accounts. So I know parents were really concerned about potential going into June with the school year, with having already planned vacations and whatnot. So this is very much appreciated by us and I think the community.
Dr. Guitry?
Thank you. Thank you as well. So there's been some internal discussions, but I want to get some clarification on virtual days. On virtual days, are those dedicated just to review? Can new material be presented? are there parameters from the state on what can happen in the virtual days? Can you just talk a little bit more about virtual days? Because I think that there were questions about what's allowed, what's not allowed on virtual days in terms of instruction.
Sure. So in terms of parameters from the state, instructionally, schools have a lot of discretion to kind of set their own guidelines. We have to take attendance for students, and we've set up a mechanism to do that. We utilize a Google form, but then we also allow for students or parents who may not have the ability to access that, they can also call in. That's part of the reason why we need to have some staff present in our buildings on virtual days. We do have to provide meals. So those meals, can be provided for families to pick up either on the day of the virtual learning, or it can be done in advance. There was one day, when we knew, that significant storm was coming, we did plan ahead. And so we did have families who were able to pick up meals in advance, so that helped us meet that requirement. That's one requirement. We also have to check in with students and do as much as we can to provide accommodation. So for example, students who might need assistance, or even, for example, speech language pathologists who work with students, they can do that virtually. They can use, students who have Chromebooks to check in with them. So we have to make every measure we can to try and check in with students and provide accommodations for students who need those. It does not require that we do synchronous learning. So it's not that teachers have to be behind the screen teaching classes, but they do have to provide directions and assignments and be available, even if that's just through email, to assist students and answer questions.
Okay, thank you. So they can still deliver content on virtual days?
Yes.
Okay, so they're not just relegated to review of previously material that they've already presented to students.
Yeah, and we've talked about that, especially, at the high school level where we have some more intense courses where, that may be appropriate or necessary in some cases.
Okay, so that is, just to clarify, so that is allowed?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Ms. Parton?
Thank you, Amanda. As glad that I am that we do have the virtual days now to be able to use, I'm not a fan, and I'll tell you why. If we're counting them as instructional days, I feel like we're shortchanging our kids. I've heard several parents, I dealt with it as a parent. We might have some that are doing what they're supposed to be doing. I've heard from several that they're not getting anything, or they're getting much of nothing. So basically, I've heard our kids aren't learning anything those days, or even reviewing those days. So I would not recommend using many of those if they're going to be counted as an instructional day, because I don't think it's fair to our kids. I don't think it's fair to the parents. And I think that we could better utilize that day we need to come up with something. I don't have a problem counting them, but our kids need to be learning something that day. And it needs to be as close to a school day as possible if it's going to be counted as an instructional day. And those are just my thoughts on it. Thank you.
Ms. Bond?
I agree. I've heard the same, that pretty much it's a check-in and maybe a simple project, that's it for the day. And so I agree. I just think we're missing it on that. So, this weather forecast was predicted a good week ahead of time. So if we maybe could put in some kind of a plan to, okay, we've got this is something we can kind of do or gear toward if we're going to have those days. Because like I said, this was brought on, we knew a week and a half ahead of time that this storm was coming. So, and I think I applaud the effort, because I have this many parents going, how come we're not using? But I've got this many, well, even though we're using them, we're not doing a whole lot. So, I want us, if we're going to use them, to feel like it's beneficial. That's a good word.
Ms. Franklin?
Yeah.
Oh, Dr. Gimple, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Ms. Bard and Ms. Bond. And we met with our principals and spoke at length about having a solid plan in place. And speaking to my colleagues across the state, I think the forecast we knew, the amount of ice and I mean, nobody planned on 10 days, you know. And every superintendent is having these discussions with their staff and with their folks about, going forward. And I think, just about all divisions have some of these banked up virtual days. And we don't want to use any of them, like I mentioned earlier, but if we do, we're going to do a much better job of delivering instruction. We have to. Don't know that we've been in this position since COVID, really, where you feel like, wow, we just lost 10 days of valuable time. And we all know, and I think Katie made a great point. Nobody knows better than our teachers. They feel it, and they're not resistant to doing what they need to do in order to make sure that our kids are going to get the instruction they need, especially with these end of year tests coming up. They know that there's some pressure there, right? But it's across the state. We're no different than Central Region or Northern Region or even the beach at this point, right? Everybody missed a huge chunk of time, and so everybody is scrambling to make sure that if we have to go do anything, that we at least take full advantage of these virtual days. Hope we don't have to use any of them, but if we do, we're prepared to do a better job with it. And I agree. Just checking in, that's not a good use of time. And to count that as an instructional day is not really a fair thing, unless you definitely have passed out things that kids can do and learn from and practice. There is quality in review, but nothing like having synchronous instruction where kids can, we have to be equitable. We have to make sure we're prepared. We have to have the Wi-Fi's already delivered. We want to continue instruction for our 3rd through 5th graders. We can't just hand them packets and everybody else does synchronous. And so we've talked about being prepared for that should we get any type of forecast that would compromise us being able to run school as usual.
Thank you, Dr. Gimple. Ms. Franklin, did you have any other? Okay. Mr. Roberts?
I don't have any comments or questions.
Dr. Roundtree? Anyone else? Laura, did you have any thoughts about synchronous learning days?
Solely from my experience in the past, like the 10 days we missed, something I came across very frequently, all of my chats with my peers, is that we wanted more yellow days and virtual days, actually. So it's a bit surprising to me to see this, resistance towards them, especially because at least for the classes I'm in and for the classes I'm aware of with my other peers, we did have that kind of as best as a teacher could do synchronous day of we had work consistently, I had full assignments I had to do. I had for my AP Gov, I had to write a full essay about researching a bit against something for Gov. And for bio, I had work. And then for my virtual classes, I obviously still had work. It just, I personally didn't see a problem, but I also personally wasn't aware of other class structures where maybe that wasn't happening. I think I was just kind of the opinion that what I was experiencing was across the board. And I personally really enjoy what happened. I think the yellow days are really beneficial. I was surprised learning just now that there's even a limit in the Virginia Code of how many you can have, because I'm so in support of them. I think it's the best thing to come out of COVID of learning how to do that. That's really all of my thoughts and opinions. If I don't know what it's as on the teacher or administrator side of how to do virtual days, I guess I also kind of assumed that there was this structure behind it of okay, teachers, you have to assign work. I didn't realize that it was just a check-in kind of thing. I knew we had to check in, but I didn't know that was the only requirement or whatever's going on that side. But yeah, those are all my thoughts.
Thank you. I think it's nice to hear what a probably very highly motivated, conscientious student, how you deal with some of those unexpected breaks, and I'm glad that you were able to keep learning with your virtual days. Dr. Widener, did you have?
The only other idea that I'll share, this I don't hopefully would not be for this year, but just going forward, and we talk about calendars and hours. Another consideration, just being proactive, is because the state measures our time requirements not just in days but in hours, is even extending the school day. If we were to add 15 minutes to each school day, that would be 45 hours in a year, which is the equivalent of 7.5 days. So again, just thinking long-term down the road, trying to be proactive. I think for most people, the idea of a slightly longer day is less painful than extending the school year into June. So I just want to remind the board that that's another strategy.
I seem to remember getting some data, not in this last year, but not all that long ago, that we might have one of the shorter school days in the region, don't we?
Yeah, other school divisions do have longer days. And again, when we talk about the days, we're talking about the instructional time. So like, for example, at the secondary level, our school instructional time starts at 8:05. So it's starting at 7:50. And most students are already arriving as early as 7:30. We do have a lot of downtime in the morning at many of our schools.
Thank you so much. Other comments or questions from the board? Thank you for the update. Okay. Moving on to the next item on the agenda is unfinished business. Are there any items of unfinished business? Dr.
Before
Guidry?
we move forward, can I just ask a point of order? So we had on the agenda action on the weapons policy. So I know a little bit of information, but I think that we need to at least provide the public some information to explain, because it's on the agenda, so we can't just skip that item, because we didn't. Oh, she did?
We amended the agenda when we
I'm so
opened at
sorry. It's still
6:30.
okay, I'm sorry. It's still showing up on board stock, so I don't know if people, so that'll be amended?
my
When we
board docs
adopted
don't
the agenda, they did an amendment to take it off.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just looking at board stock, so it wasn't pulled off of that, so I thought people might be confused. Yeah.
Probably if you refresh it, it'll be off. I didn't take it off until it was voted on.
Oh, okay.
They were waiting for more information from the attorney, and we didn't have it yet, so
Yeah.
we didn't feel comfortable going forward with it.
Right, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that, Ms. Osborne, and it will be on an upcoming agenda.
So I had an item.
Yes.
So I brought this up, I believe, in either the last meeting in November or first meeting, the only meeting in December. So I was approached about a railroad safety program that would like to be introduced into our schools. We have quite a bit of railroads that run through our county, and we have had incidents, unfortunate incidents with that. And especially with passenger rail coming. And anyway, the folks with the railroads would like to come and do presentations to our children about railroad safety. They have done this with our bus drivers. So I would like to be able to get the superintendent that contact information so we can start that process. Or bring it back for more information for the board. Okay. Okay, great, thanks.
Absolutely. And I'll coordinate with Mr. Garrettson, and we'll get to work on that.
Is that just automobile railway safety, or is that pedestrian railway safety as well? Okay, thanks.
If we're done with unfinished business, Dr. Guidry?
Yeah. So this wasn't actually technically an item, but we did talk at the last session about CHS and some of the budget issues. Is there a time frame when we might get some of the information? Because I know that we've got an email that I know that the public still has questions. I just wanted to mention that, because we ask questions, but will that be on a future meeting so the public will know? Just want to keep that on the radar.
Yeah, if it pleases the board, sure.
Would you like the board to talk about it, to make it an agenda item?
I think just to clarify, what exactly is being asked. The updates, we're putting together weekly updates for both the Board of Supervisors and the school board. We can also put that online. Andrew's working on putting that together for us, so it's a running kind of synopsis of events that'll take place until the completion of the building. I did meet with the entire build team, architect, our folks from finance, and just went over, to make sure that anything that would arise moving forward would come to our attention sooner rather than later. And part of that is providing you with those weekly updates that would include any type of change order or issues that they run into. Again, they're doing remodeling, so there may be issues, right? What we've been assured on is that they'll stay under budget. At this point, they feel very strong about that. Again, notwithstanding unforeseen issues that go with any build, but that they'll be done on time as well. And really, that's what we need to have happen, is that it's finished at our completion date before school opens up next year.
Great, I appreciate that commitment. I don't know about fellow board members, but one of the things that I asked for, I know there was a request for looking at all the change orders. I don't need that level of detail, so I appreciate moving forward, but I do think that there needs to be some more information about that additional $5 million. Do other board members agree that some more explanation of that might be helpful for us and for the public, or am I just out there? Am I the only one?
I'll say, sure, right. It is what it is. They were doing the build. They ran into some difficulties. I don't see any reason why that wouldn't be something we can make public. I mean, this is what they ran into. This is what it cost, and in order to complete the building and make it the way that we agreed to, or that was agreed upon to make the build, that's the cost. And I'm certainly not opposed to posting that. I mean, there's nothing to hide from it. It's just they ran into issues, and it cost us a little bit more to complete the build. That's the bottom line. So if the public wants to see that, we can certainly post those change orders and what the cost was. You have the total of the cost, but we can do the breakdown. I'm not opposed to doing that.
Yeah, I think the breakdown would be good to see and for the public to see at this point, just so that these are things we ran into. Because part of the issue for me is we kept being told under budget. But then when you tell me I need $5 million more, that's not under budget. Even though it may be banked, so to speak, for those types of situations, you're digging into money that is reserved. So that's not under budget.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing, like all along, had you been informed every step of the way, you wouldn't have any questions right now, right? And so we'll do that. We'll catch up. I think I have 8 of the 10 change orders. I think in my office right now, they're still working on producing a couple more. Most of these, actually all of these except for one, took place prior superintendent, only one during the interim time. So we're still working on kind of putting all that together, but the majority of it I can scan and put online. It's not an issue.
Thank you. And I just want to make it clear, I'm asking this not because I don't trust the administration. I
Yes,
think
sir.
that there was
No, I
something
understand.
untoward. I just can guarantee you,
Transparency.
when there's conversations about the budget, there are going to be people like, why should I give you more money? You don't know how to manage your money. So just that due diligence, I don't think it's going to convince everybody, but I think that there are community members.
And probably,
for which-
we're going to have additional projects coming up, obviously, right? We've got some aging buildings that are going to need work, and just to have the practice that the budget is there, and any changes as they come, we just post them online and make it apparent. There's nothing to hide here. We have builders that are coming in, they're experts in what they do, and as they reconstruct, they're going to run into things that they can't just see by looking at the building, and we know this. They're going to quote us one thing, and oftentimes it does come out to be a little bit more. And again, like I mentioned, it's just like when you remodel. I just remodeled a bathroom in my house, and we pulled the toilet off, and the pipe underneath was cracked, and we had to move it in order to get the space we wanted to put the vanity we wanted. And we didn't realize that was going to be a cost. It cost more. I budgeted one amount, it cost more. When they tear into walls and they find issues in there or tear into the ground and those pipes are aged more than they thought, you got to replace the pipes. There's no two ways about it, and therefore the price was a little bit more. But we'll be completely transparent about it. I think that's good plan going forward. I think we need to be good stewards of the public's money and their taxes and just display this. Have a very outward facing budget when it comes to our capital improvements. And I think hopefully that'll alleviate some of the questions.
I think that's the key, is the information. When that happened with your bathroom, I'm sure that contractor said, hey, this is what we found, and this is where we're going to have to go, and it's going to cost you another, right? But you know what I'm saying? And so even on a home project, you expect that your contractor to come to you and kind of say, it's going to be this, so that way we're not
Exactly
blindsided
right.
by it. So
Yes, ma'am.
yeah. I also have, if you're finished, I have and I was going to bring it under new business, but actually I think it might be unfinished because we did talk about the inclement weather. And I know that we are starting down a path of looking at policy, but I would like for us, if the board also would want to, look at our policy on what happens with and I don't mean just sports, but band, music, everything on inclement days. And I'm going to use, for example, we had an inclement day the day Christiansburg happened to have their Christmas parade. Well, weather was not bad enough to call off the parade, but we didn't have school that day. But no band could march, no anything could be there because of what our policy states. So I'm asking, is there a way? It's the same thing with lots of sports practices. They're all kind of saying, what's your policy? You've got some at the rec, you've got some over here, you've got some that are saying they can't, you've got some that are saying they can. I understand all of the ins and the outs of the being responsible and some can and some can't, and that's not fair to this one who can't and that one who can. But, the thing I hate about it is some of the things, just like the parades, these students have prepared for. And you can't do a makeup day on that. You can't do a makeup parade. And I'm just using that one thing for an example. And they've worked hard. They've worked hard to prepare for those things, and you can't get it back. And sure, life's not easy. I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying they're not going to deal with situations, but there are things that we can put in place for situations like that. I believe we also had an inclement day on a wrestling tournament that caused a lot of issues. So, when we are looking at our policies, it's how can we maybe adjust to handle some of those situations that I think, I don't know, I'm sure you have a better answer, Dr. Gimple, that you've dealt with, or someone else might have a better solution, but what we've got, I don't know that it's working real well. So if we could rethink it, relook at it, even if we have a statement that a parent might have to say, hey, I'm going to bring my child, I'm responsible for him, I will pick him up and get him home. I'm sure there's a way, but like I said, what we're doing at this point, what our policy states, I think we can do better.
That's so difficult. The last thing I want to do is cancel any event for kids that they've been working towards. I don't care what it is, right? I mean, I was a coach of multiple sports, including wrestling, where the weather just wreaked havoc on tournament after tournament, you know. And so the worst thing was the call that you couldn't go, right? Because you know how hard you work with your teams. And I think, you know, we have a robotics team that has prepared so hard. And I heard some feedback from one constituent that was upset about not being able to practice there and feeling like other teams were getting ahead. And it's just such a difficult call, particularly when different parts of the county are experiencing different levels of snow removal and treatment. And also when you've only been in the division for a few days and you're trying to make a call that is keeping kids safe. I don't know that there any division that I've been in has a hard, fast policy because, you know, you could have it snow in the morning and by the afternoon it's 40 degrees, right? And you certainly don't want to prevent kids from being able to participate in the things that they've worked so hard for. At the same time, I don't ever want to be the superintendent who allows something that results in a student injury or worse because of my poor judgment, you know. So you try and take in as much information as we can. We contact our sheriff's department. We contact the VDOT. Like I said, we have people out on the road at 4 a.m. trying to provide advice and you know, our custodians and our maintenance staff work so incredibly hard to get our buildings ready, but then you go drive the road and it's like there's just no way. You know, I can't put my teenagers behind a wheel and feel good about them driving down some of these hills and mountains and areas like that. Let alone our buses that don't have 4-wheel drive, right? So it's one of the worst things I'm telling you as a superintendent to have to decide these things, right? Because you know there's so much more than just, we'll cancel school. There's so many more activities and so much more people that are involved in trying to do great things for our kids that you're canceling, right? And so the case-by-case basis really is what I've experienced as the way to do that, you know. But I also, to your point, don't think you just close schools and say, sorry, can't come. And the sun's shining outside and there's no snow on the ground. You know, that's not fair either. But it's a difficult thing.
And that's by no means, I don't think, any board member or anybody, and I don't think this is just a this year situation. I think it's been something that's been in the past as well. So not just because of your decision making, but we have had times where we've closed school at the threat of a storm coming in and it didn't, I'm meaning more stuff like that. Not any board member, I don't believe, wants to put any child in danger on the road. And if that's the case, I would say the event would be canceled anyway. I'm talking about kind of like what you said. You might have had a snow that morning. It was gone. The event wasn't canceled. You know, what can we do in those type measures when the roads are safe? Students can come. We've closed at something that's happened that morning, the threat of snow, high rains, storm weathers, just whatever it may. But, you know, I would just like to look at our policy, but only due to the safety of our students first. That is a must.
Thank you, Ms. Pond and Dr. Gimple. Any other items of unfinished business? Are there any items of new business?
Yes, ma'am. I just want to thank every one of you for just the passion you have for what you're doing up here, the discussions that you have. I mean, calendar and any other issue that comes across here, you all deeply care about our kids. It is clear. You have different views on how that might look and what's, you know, different priorities, but you all have your hearts in the right place and it's about students. And I just want to tell you, I appreciate that.
Thank you, Dr. Gimple. Are there any other announcements or other information board members would like to share? Dr. Guitry.
On the new business, something I just wanted to ask about is that one of the discussions that we had, and this was with the interim, was putting together a policy, or we actually have one, but for the committees, the different committees that we have, superintendents versus board committees, and outlining responsibilities, membership, and whatnot. And that's one of the things that I didn't want to get lost in the transition because it's something that's come up in the past. So I'm sure if you talk to your people who've been around that they could apprise you. So I'd love to make sure that moves forward.
When we meet, I think it's coming up, can you
Yeah.
pull me up to speed? Thanks.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
So this may be something we don't have to reinvent the wheel, because a few years ago, we actually had a presentation on that and the breakdown about the different committees and who they reported to, if they were state mandated as far as how the committees were made up. So that information could be somewhere already ready to go.
Are there any other announcements or information? Ms. Parton?
So yes, just really quick, I just wanted to remind everyone that February 15th was National School Resource Officer Appreciation Day, and that was actually established by the National Association of School Resource Officers in 2022. And that day recognizes the essential role that SROs play in mentoring students, teaching law-related education, and ensuring school safety. It is celebrated annually on this date to honor their dedication to building positive relationships between law enforcement and youth. And I just want to add to that I'm very thankful and blessed that we have the SROs in our school, and I want to thank Montgomery County Sheriff's Office, Christiansburg Police Department, and Blacksburg Police Department for helping us keep our kids safe, and our staff and our administration and all of our employees, and everything you do to add to the relationships and are there mentoring our students. So I just wanted to make sure that that was brought up and thank them for everything they do.
Thank you, Ms. Parton. Ms. Bond?
Was just going to say thank you to whoever left our goodies for, I'm assuming, board appreciation. Thank you. And the portfolio that we got last meeting, thank you for that as well.
Board members, other announcements or information?
Just wanted to say something really quickly. So I just want to thank the community members who came out to BHS for that listening session. It was great. Not even, it was community members, it was administrators, it was teachers, it was staff. A board supervisor member was there, and it was really great because it was like, oh, I recognized a number of people here. But just their passion for MCPS, their dedication, their appreciation, their awareness was really, it was inspiring to see as a board member, and it's an honor to serve those individuals and this community. So thank you to everyone who came out to that event.
Any other announcements or information? Okay. Moving on. Our upcoming school board meetings, we have our board retreat, February 27th and 28th at the Highlander Hotel. Our next business meeting is March 3rd. And I adjourn this meeting at 9:26 p.m.